Hello friends, in this particular video I'm going to show you how you can use the default data types that Python provides, like list, dictionary, in storing data making use of Django. So in front of you I have got a Django application, and the name of the application I have given as a user input. So over here I will be just taking input from the user, and I will use the simple data types like lists and dictionaries to store data. So let's get into the code. As you can see over here, my project name is called user input, and I don't have any extra Django app. Rather, I have created a file called views.py within which I will store all my function based views. Okay, before I get into it, let me run the application first. So here it is, python manage.py run server. I hit the enter and the application started executing. Okay, great. So what we will do over here is, let's minimize this, let's come to the browser and let me write localhost /8000. I hit the enter, and here we get to see, well, always it's a good practice to clear the cache. So for that reason I will right click over here, go for empty cache. That will clear any of the junk data that the cache is holding, and there will be no kind of dispute in that case. Yes, so I will go with hard reload, and I will also go for normal reload. Good, very good. So I don't have any issue with my code right now. So here you can see a template at this particular URL, and here I'm supposed to give the input. So my code is running perfectly fine. Let's see how exactly this is working. So I will come to my urls.py. As I do that, you can see over here I have created, as I said, a file by the name called views. Inside this particular folder, user input. So from user input, import views, and all my functions I have written inside the view. As you can see right over here, the home, I've written one function by the name called home, edit view, delete view. All these are present inside the view file. Okay, and as I said, this particular program does not make use of any database. Rather, my main intention is to make you understand that how can you use the default data type like list and dictionary for storing data inside Python Django. Okay, so as you saw over here, the route is localhost /8000. That means this particular endpoint is working, empty route. So inside view I have a function called home. Let's come to the home function. Here we are. Okay, very good. As you can see over here, I have got a list. As I said, I will be using list, and there is a position, and there is a boolean variable. Okay, very good. These are all the type that Python provides. So we saw that this control will bring me to the home. So let's expand the home function based view to see what is inside this home. Okay, so what we can do is that I can write a command line over here so that we are very much aware that which particular, so this is for empty route. Okay, and it will be responsible for what? It will be responsible for adding new record. So this route will be meant for adding new record. Okay, so this is basically the create route as well. Is that just create? Let's see what it is along with create. If it is here, something else also can be there. So when you open this particular function, by default, as you can see over here, I have created dictionary. As I said, I will be creating list and dictionaries. So here I went for typecasting just to show you that it's a class dict type, and I'm going to use this particular global variable. So that's the reason I'm saying global position. Okay, if I hit the submit button, once I click on the submit button, then the post route will get called. So initially this post route will not get called, right? Yes. So then it will come to this if condition. What the condition is saying? Well, the condition is saying that it is checking whether there is any element inside this list, and if it is greater than 0, then it is going to pass this dictionary. Well, what is this? This is a dictionary that is going to pass, but at this point of time there is no record. So in that case, this if condition is also not going to work. So what is going to happen now? Well, in that case I'm going to give a call to this particular template. As you know that in settings.py we have to add the template location, which you can see first we have to add the OS module, then we come over here inside the templates. As you can see, I have created this template folder, so that means it is referring to this particular folder. Well, other way around it could have been, so if you don't want this one, so we could have gone for os.path.join, os.path.join. we could have done this one as well, whichever you feel like, no problem. Okay, good. So control knows that it has to come to your template. Inside template I've created one more extra folder called home. Well, that's your choice after all, and inside that we have a template file, that is index.html, and I'm passing this particular dictionary inside this template. Here is the dictionary that I'm passing, but at this point of time the dictionary will not have any data because this particular condition did not work out true, so it is just going to pass an empty dictionary. So let's come to this index.html to see what is there right over here, and here we are. Okay, so let me collapse this portion so that we can get to see what are the thing it has content. So it has content a form tag for taking user input, and along with that it also have got something very special. And what is that? It is meant to display the output. Understood? So this particular portion is meant to display the output, and this is present inside this div container. So where is the end of div container? Div container ends over here, right over here, and inside that we have got this. So what we can see over here is that we have this table, and this table, the table tag starts over here, and where is the table ending? I can't see the table ending part. Okay, no problem, no worries. The table ending will be definitely be there. So what I'm going to do is that this is the table heading part, and this is the table body, and here is the tr, right? And if I go to my, yes, so here, sorry, and I have not written the table ending part. That's very strange. So let me write over here slash table body. Okay, great, and then we have got table tag. Okay, this was missing somewhere, somewhat like that. So let me just reload the tab once again to see that, oh, my server is closed. So let me run the server again. Python manage.py run server, and I hit the enter, and now it is working. And let me reload it, and now everything is as cool as possible. So let's go to inspect just to see that everything is fine. Yes, everything is fine right over here. So somewhere this particular table body was missing, and that's the reason why table ending was also missing. Okay, fine. Now, so as I said that I'm passing over here this dictionary, so I need to check whether at all this particular dictionary has got any data or not. So inside this dictionary there is a key called item. So I'm checking over here that if item exists. So at the very first stage the item will not be there, so this condition is not going to work at first. If the item is there, then only this particular table will be generated. As a result, at first when you load the page you don't see any table right over here because if condition is actually not working. Great. Okay, so far so good. Right, so what will happen by default? You have a form over here, and you can see this form. You have to fill the form. So what this particular form contains? Well, this particular form contains 3 input. As you can see over here, it has a first name, last name, and age. And we must remember a couple of things, that whenever you're working on form, we have to mention the method. What type of method is this? It's a post method. That means I will be submitting data to the server. So that means it's called post method. Okay. And we also need to have a CSRF token, because if you come over here, if you right click over here, if you go to view page source, you will find a CSRF token is present, and this token ensure that the data is added safely. So for that reason we have to have this CSRF token. Okay, so far so good. Now this is just a mere Bootstrap. Here I've given a call to the Bootstrap CDN link. So this is just for the Bootstrap. We have a label first name, and this is where the main DOM element is. Input type text, and this is again a Bootstrap class. This particular DOM has a name called first name. Similarly, this DOM has a name called last name, and this DOM has a name called age. So correspondingly these 3 DOM has a respective identifier. Now let's come to this particular button. The button is of type submit. Again, this is of Bootstrap class. So if you click on the submit button, what you are going to submit? You are going to submit the form. you are going to submit the form. So until and unless you don't click on the submit button, this particular if request.method will not work. But the moment you click on the submit button, again you are giving a call to the same route, because there is no change in the route. So control will again come to the urls.py, and again it will redirect to the home. And here now this time the if condition is actually true, because user has submitted the form. So this request is coming from HTTP request. This is a response. Here we also have got something called HTTP request. So this is of type HTTP request, and you need to mention the data type over here, HTTP request. And it is going to send me a response of HTTP response. So it is a HTTP response. Yes, right? We are sending in the form of a template. So if I stop my server again, and if I reload the server again, just to show you that if everything is fine or not, I hit the enter, that yes, everything is fine. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to fill the form, and I will click on the submit button. So once I click submit button, the post, because your form has a method type post, so this post will be true. In that case, what happens, it is going to pick up the value which the user has given in the respective DOM element. So how you are picking up the value? With the help of request, and the method type is post, request.method post.get. Get is a function which will get the data. So I'm going to get the data in the form of a first name, which is basically a string. I'm going to get the data for last name, which is basically again of type string, and I'm going to get the data in the form of an age. At this point of time, this is also going to be string, because I'm not typecasting it. So first name, last name, age, if you remember, these are the identifiers, first name, last name, age. So whatever input user is given, that will be stored corresponding to this. And since this is the first time I'm adding a new record, so I'm incrementing the position variable. And if data is there, I'm checking with this condition, if data is there, that if user has given the data actually, now what I'm going to do is that I am going to create one tuple. So I'm storing this information in the form of tuple, where position is there, first name, last name, age, and this tuple I'm going to append inside my list. And after I've appended this, then I'm sending a dictionary over here. So this is my dictionary which I'm sending, so that the data goes to the front end. In the dictionary, what I've added this particular list again, and this is the key of the dictionary which I'm sending. So this particular stuff will now come and will get stored right over here. So after we have concluded this particular if condition is true, then it will come over here. Yes, there is an item present at the 0, I mean greater than 0. So this particular dictionary once again will come over here. Now you might be wondering, why am I writing this thing when I've written this one over here? Well, this one will work when the user will click the submit button. But what if when you are loading the loading the template without clicking the submit button, at that point of time also you need to pass this particular context, then only the template table will be rendered. I'm showing you what I mean by that. So let's come over here, let's reload it. So let me give the name as Peter Parker, and the age is 25. So now when I'm clicking on the submit button, see, the thing got loaded. So this particular loading part will also be taken care by the index.html, and that will be the concern of this particular section. So over here I have explained you this entire form section. So let me come over here. Now is the time when this particular portion works. Remember, this particular view has forwarded the data, so that data has got a key called item. As you saw over here, it has a key called item, so that is now getting executed. So inside the bootstrap class, so this is the bootstrap class, so that you have this kind of a different shade for each row. For that reason, this bootstrap has been used over here. So at first I have a table heading, and in that table heading we have a table row with the following attribute: first name, last name, age, edit and delete, as you can see right over here. Now what we are doing is that we are creating a table body, and inside the table body I'm going to iterate through all the tuples that is present inside this particular list. Remember, this list has got the tuple as you saw over here. So we are appending the list with the help of a tuple over here. So that tuple I'm going to iterate, and tuple also has got indexing just like list. So at the first iteration it picks up the first tuple. The first tuple has got following attribute. As you can see, this is 0th position, 1, 2 and 3. So that's what I'm doing it. At 0 position you show the index, as you can see right over here, index, then first position 0, 1, 2 and 3. That's what That's what it is doing, because by default position is the first attribute which we have added in the tuple. As you can see right over here, if you come over here, we added the tuple position. So I am printing each of this value with the help of the index, and over here I have gone for a couple of rows which is meant to perform the edit and delete operation. I will come to that part in a few minutes, and I hope this part has been successfully you have understood, and because of that reason you are getting these 4 column: ID, first name, last name, and age. So that means what we can conclude from this is that this particular view is performing 2 tasks. It is responsible to insert data to the list. At the same time, it will also responsible for displaying data. That also we saw right over here. We are displaying data. Okay, fine. Up to this, I believe it's now clear. So let's now get back to my urls.py once again. As you can see, this is my empty route. So this was the empty route which we are discussing so long, who took the input from the user and who also have displayed the output. Now let's come to the portion of edit and delete. As you can see over here, I have this is the Django tag, okay, Django tag, and it is meant for hyperlink. So Django also has its own tag. We can use the regular HTML tag, but this is a specific tag of Django. Why I mean Jinja tag. Why I need to use this one? Because I have to collect this particular value over here in form of ID, because each data will have its own ID, right? So for that reason you will write URL, and then what is the URL route? I mean the route will have some parameter name, I mean hypertext name, which will be appearing in the route itself, and this is the ID that is coming from here. So this particular ID will keep on changing. For the first there will something else, for the second something else. So for that reason this particular portion I need to store it somewhere, and that brings us to our query params. So as you saw over here, we have got ID as edit, that is right over here. Same goes, you have ID called delete, that is right over here. But after that, this particular portion is something that will keep on changing as we iterate. So for that reason, this particular portion I need to create a variable in the form of query params, and this is going to be of type integer, because as you can see right over here, this position was of type integer, and that what we have appended over here. As you can see, position which is of type integer. So for that reason this is going to be of type integer, and just a name of the variable. You are free to choose whatever name you feel like. That's what I've written over here. So this is going to give a call to this particular edit view. So before we move to edit view, again I'm telling this is a part of the font awesome. As you come to my index.html, you will find there is a serial link for font awesome. Because of that reason you are getting this particular kind of icon for edit and delete. So that is coming from font awesome. So here I've given a call to the font awesome, and the background color I've given, and because of this reason you are able to see that edit icon, and because of this reason you are able to see the delete icon. It is totally up to you how to represent the edit and delete operation. So now when the user will click on this edit button, what I will do, I will be creating a new route. So for that reason, the moment I will click on the edit button, the control will come to the URL. As you saw over here, edit is already been done. Edit is already been mentioned over here, and then this particular attribute is been received, the parameter received, and we are going to give a new function called edit_view. So since we are receiving a parameter over here, so this particular parameter I have to pass it to my function view. So for that reason we have one extra parameter over here. So this is my HTTP request. Along with that we have an extra parameter over here. So this extra parameter is going to hold the integer value based on which I am going to perform the operation, and it is going to return the response. So let me expand this edit view. So once the control comes over here, now if you see, let me close this for loop for the time being, and if condition also for the time being. You can see over here we are rendering a new template this time. So I'm creating a new template, home, and over here home we have a new template called edit_html. The control comes right over here. Okay, so it is also similar to that of the index.html, but there is a slight difference. What is the difference? In case of index.html, we did not have the value attribute because user is inserting a value for the first time. But in case of edit.html, we have one extra attribute called value attribute. this attribute is there. Now why am I going to use this attribute, you must be wondering. Well, before that, let's add one more record over here. So this time I'm going for John Carter, and suppose the age is 27. I click on this. Yes, the record got, oh, it is just updating it. It is just updating it. Why? Because let me just do it once again. Let me stop the server and let me just rerun the code again, just to see if everything is perfectly fine or not. So let me create, it should append the data. No, why it got updated? So let me just see once again. So this is Peter Parker, and suppose 23. I add the record. Very good, record got added. Now let's add one more new record, John Carter, and the age is 30, and I click on submit button. Yeah, now it is working fine. So previously, due to some internal some changes, it was not working. See, the new record got added. So let me add one more record, and this time let me add my name, Swaroop Shah, and the age is 38, and I click on the save button. As I do that, that record also got added. Great, so far so good. Right. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to perform the edit operation. So the moment I will click on this edit, there will be the change in route. So the control will come over here, and this will give a call to this particular route, and the control will come to this particular function. See, now over here, if you take a note, just a second. Yeah. So what is this particular route is going to do? Again, I'm creating one reference over here by the name called item. I'm checking whether there is, see, let me click on this to make you understand what is happening. Suppose I want to change the name of Carter, okay, to something else. So I click on this. As I click on that, take a note of the route. The route gets changed. So right now we have a slash edit, and this is the ID. So for that reason, you saw in the urls.py that this is the edit followed by the ID that is been shown over here. So that ID got stored inside this particular parameter. Very good. Now what? So you see over here, this entire form is already filled with existing data. So how this particular form get filled with existing data, that is something what we have to do at first. And for that reason, we are running this particular for loop to check whether the particular ID which I have given does match or not. As we know that we have one list over here, that's what I'm saying. I'm calculating the range because we have to check each of this tuples to see that whether it does match with the ID which I have given. So at the first iteration, it picks up the first tuple. Now what we are going to do? So here we have got the first tuple. In that first tuple, at the 0th index, we have the ID. Remember, if I come over here, in the first tuple at the 0th index, so this is completely a first tuple, and inside that first tuple at the 0th index, I have got the position. So that's what I'm doing over here. So at the first tuple, I have the position. If that position matches with the ID, in that case, what happens? From the list, that particular ID item will be picked up inside this item. Okay. In case if the ID does match, and if it does not match, then it will say something like this, item not found. But in this case, of course, it will get match. So once it get matched, now what happened? We are creating the dictionary over here. So that dictionary, we are putting it with the key as item, and that dictionary I'm passing it. So once I'm passing this particular dictionary, so naturally I can pick up data from that dictionary, and that's what I'm doing over here. So item at 1 index is the first name, item has 2 index is the last name, item has 3 index is the age. We have inserted that as a value, and because of that reason, you are able to see in the template John Carter and the value 30. And this is quite important, you have to do it. Why? Because you may not edit all the field, so you will keep the rest of the other field value as it is, and you will just modify the respective value. And always remember, when you are submitting, you need to have CSRA token and you need to have the post. So once you submit this after the change, suppose for example here I am making a change. Suppose the age of John Carter is 35, and once I click on the submit button, this time the form will be loaded. So this form will be loaded, and inside the view it come, and here now the if request is getting true. Again the same route, because the route is same. Edit/2, so the route will be same. In urls.py you have the same route, so it will come over here, and at this point of time request both will get executed, and now we are going to perform again the updation. So basically what we are doing, we are picking all the input that is there in the form. irrespective of whether you have given or it's already present. So in this case I am changing the 30 to 35. So first name is already there, I stopped it, last name already there, and the age or new data I have given, that is also over here. Remember, each of these DOM element has got respective IDs which are very important, and for that reason this thing got stored. Okay, now here I am creating one tuple. Very good, that's great. So this particular tuple I need to insert it, right? So inside my actual list at that particular index where the record has to be inserted, there where I'm inserting this particular tuple. Great. So once we have inserted the tuple, I need to reflect the change, isn't it? I need to reflect the change in my front end also. For that reason I am again passing the dictionary so that it can be rendered in my table tag. Okay, let me show you what I mean by that. So once I have clicked on the save button, what will happen if this particular thing gets called, and after adding a new record over here, after changing the record, I'm re-rendering. So I have to re-render, I have to get back to my localhost colon 8000. So for that reason there is a particular function called redirect. So redirect to where? Redirect to home. If you see over here, there is something called name, and this is where the name attribute comes in. So once you say redirect home, so that means it will search in the urls.py whose name is home, and here is the name home. So by default again we will get back to localhost colon 8000, and we will see the change that I have made over here. So for that reason we have the redirect function. So you don't have to render all the time, okay? You can also redirect to some other route. So for that reason you have to give a name to this particular route, and this is where the redirect comes in picture. Okay, so after I have made the change, now if I click on it, I will be redirected back to, see over here, the change has been done, back to the home page because of the redirect home. So that home means this home, and this home means this particular home which we have discussed previously. So over here we get back with the new change that I have made right over here, as you can see. Okay, so far so good. Now comes the delete part. So once we are going for delete, again the same thing, I click on the delete. The delete will have a particular hyper reference in your URL and the ID that you want to delete, and it will give you a call to this particular function based view. You have to pass the ID over here because you need to do the same thing. You have to find out which record it is, and you have to delete that record, right? So what I'm going to do, how do I delete that record? So over here I'm performing the least comprehension. So again, this is my actual global list, I'm using that one, so I have written that one. So how this particular thing is working, it will work from here. So from my global list, on the first iteration it picks up the first tuple. Remember, this is all the tuple. So after picking up the first tuple, it came over here. It is checking that that particular tuple which has picked up that particular tuple at the 0th index, which is an ID, does it match with the ID which I have given? Okay, if it is not matching, that means those IDs which are not matching that ID, that particular item, I will pick up and I will store inside my item list. Again I'm telling you what funda I am applying. The item that I want to delete, I will not store that item in my global list. Rather I will store all the item which does not match. So again, first item does not match, so I will pick up that item, I will store it over here. Second item does match, I will not, suppose I'm going to delete the second item, suppose in case I'm telling you, in that case second item does match, so I will not store that one. The third item does not match, the second item does match, so I did not store it. The third item does not match, that's the reason I'm storing it. So after storing that thing, your global list got updated. Again you are going to redirect to the home route. So home route means again this home, and it will reprint with the existing list. So basically what I have done is that I'm not deleting any particular item, just that I'm not reconsidering that item. So except that particular tuple, I'm storing all the other tuple in the global list, and that's what getting printed once again. So since I can't see that tuple in the printed form, so I will be under the impression that that particular record has been deleted, and that's how it's working. So let me show you. Suppose I want to delete John Carter's, I will click on this. In that case, see, the record is not there anymore because we have taken only this particular to record as you saw over here, and that record is what I'm taking, and that's what I'm passing it to my home route, and that home route means again to urls.py and again to home, and then again by default we are back in the localhost colon 8000 where we are rendering the entire list without the record which I've just now deleted. That's how this particular entire program is working. I will tell you, please go through this particular video repeatedly to understand the basic knowledge about how we are using a tuple, and inside the tuple how we are going, I mean the tuple inside a list, how we are doing that and how we are rendering it, how these particular functions are working. All this thing will be crystal clear once you see this particular video again and again. Okay, I believe this particular video will be helpful to understand that how we can perform CRUD operation using Python different data type like list and tuple. We could have add dictionary over here, and right now there is no such dictionary over, but that also can be added. Okay, with that I've come to the end of this particular video. See you soon. Bye bye.